Hi. Szczecin, the city in the northwest of Poland located near border with Germany, the seventh largest city of the country with the population 401,907 people. 2019. The administrative center of the West Pomer Voivodeship. Together with the next Swinoujscie forms the largest port of the country on the Baltic Sea. Also the city is the center of the industry. In particular petrochemical and machine building. Near Szczecin the international airport Szczecin-Goleniów, Solidarność, is located. In the territory of the city there is a lake dam. The settlement of the West Slavic tribe on the place of modern Szczecin appeared in the 8th century. In the 9th century strengthenings on the hill at the coast of Odra were constructed. In the settlement there was a sanctuary of gods Triglava. Between strengthenings and the river in the 10th century the trade and craft posted was created. In the second half of the 10th century, as a result of war from Liutycha for Pomorze, the Polish Prince Mieszko occupied lands where modern Szczecin is located, however they weren't included in the structure of the Polish state. Having kept independence, Szczecin became the administrative and economic center of the Western Pomorze. Only in 1124 the Polish Prince Bolesław III Krywosty subordinated Szczecin and christened its inhabitants. At the end of the 12th century the city was a part of the Sacred Roman Empire. The settlement became the center of the Duchy of Pomerania-Stettin. Germanization population of Szczecin, being called Stettin Germans, began. In 1243 the Prince Barnum of I granted to Stettin the Magdeburg right. Since 1278 the city was included into the Hanseatic Union. Stettin remained the capital of the duchy till 1648 when following the results of 30 Years' War he departed to Sweden. In 1720, according to the Stockholm Contract, Stettin passed from Swedes to Prussia and was in its structure till the 20th century, served as the main seaport for Berlin. In the Stettin Castle in 1729 future Russian Empress Catherine II, and 30 years later, her daughter-in-law, Poli's wife Maria Fyodorovna was born. Since 1935 in the city the headquarters of the 2nd Military District of Wehrmacht was placed. In October 1939 Stettin became the third in area city in Germany. Was then on 160 km. It is more than today. During World War II the city was strongly destroyed. About 2/3 buildings were damaged. In February 1945, in connection with approach of the front line, evacuation of the population began. On March 20, 1945 Stettin was occupied by the Soviet troops. By this moment the German population was reduced to 20,000 people. For the beginning of war in the city about 275,000 people lived. In May the evacuated citizens began to come back to Stettin. For the beginning of July about 100,000 Germans lived in him. Along with it new inhabitants began to arrive in the city. Most of settlers were natives of the Central Poland and East territories which departed to the USSR following the results of war. On July 5 the Soviet military authorities transferred control of the city to the Polish side. Accessory was confirmed later at the Potsdam Conference. The president of Szczecin Piotr Zaremba announced that in connection with overpopulation only those Germans have the right for residence in the city that were registered in the city till July 6, 1945. The Polish population of the city was at the time estimated at 5,000 people. On August 6, 1945 there was an order of ENPO of the USO 0015/00937 about the organization of production prisoner of war camp to Szczecin. For use of prisoners of war at loading works in the port Szczecin, to the Commander-in-Chief of the Soviet occupational troops in Germany to create by August 15, 1945 to Szczecin production prisoner of war camp on people in structure. 2 camp offices on 100 people everyone. By the end of 1946 100,000 Poles and 17,000 Germans lived in Szczecin. In the early 80s in Szczecin, one of the most radical and active regional professional centers of solidarity led by Marian Yarchik worked. The strike of the Szczecin shipyard of Varsky in December 1981 was the coordination center of protests against martial law across all Western Pomors. Szczecin became the center of the voivodeship of the same name, since 1999 till present, the center of the West Pomor voivodeship. Economy. Szczecin, one of the largest seaports of Poland. The mechanical engineering, shipbuilding, chemical industry and pulp and paper production are developed. The gross regional product makes €4,839,904, €421, 11827 per capita. Education. The West Pomor Technological University. Since January 1, 2009. The Pomeranian Medical University. The modern status since 2010 is founded in 1948. Sea Academy. It is founded in 1947, the modern status since 2004. Academy of Arts. 2010. Sport. In the city, professional clubs on different types of sport, first of all on soccer, handball, basketball, man, volleyball, man, pole vaults, to swimming and circulation under a sail function. Many of them use the name of pursuits. Religion. In the city is many temples of different religions, including the Catholic Cathedral and the second cathedral of an Orthodox diocese. Main is in Wrocław. Sites. At the heart of planning of the historic center of Szczecin, the system of the star-shaped areas connected by streets and boulevards formed after demolition in the 19th century of fortifications. In the city there are a lot of monuments, history and architecture. The remains of strengthenings of the 13th, 14th centuries with Baroque gate of the 18th century remained. In the downtown there is a church of Saints Bayat and Pavel founded in 1124 by the missionary Otto Bambergsky and which is considered as the most ancient Christian church of Pomorze. The Gothic building of the temple belongs to the second half of the 15th century. In the 12th century also the Cathedral of Saint Yao was founded. The building was built in the 16th, 17th centuries and is remarkable openwork jewelry of buttresses of the southern wall of work of the medieval master Henrik Braunsberg. During bombing in 1944 the temple was almost completely destroyed. Restoration is conducted since 1970. In Cathedral the Diocesan Museum works. The house of the vicar near the temple belongs to the 15th century. On the bank of Odra there is a Gothic cathedral of Saint João founded by Franciscan monks in the 13th century. In the years of World War II he suffered slightly. In the 1960th years the restoration works were completed. The Lock of the Poma Princes based in the 14th century was reconstructed in the beginning of the 17th century in style the Renaissance. In the building restored after bombings of 1944 the theatre and art gallery are placed. The ensemble of the market square in the old city, with a city town hall of the 13th century. In her the historical museum is located. And the house of merchant family Lloydseff constructed in the 16th century in style of late Gothic is remarkable. In the downtown also other historical buildings in Baroque styles, a Gothic style and classicism remained. In the Baroque palace of the 18th century there is a national museum. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.